Now I've got it on.
I see clips. Whoa. One is got yellow and to the power of F2. Background, and one is the microphone facing up in yellow. So that means I'm on, I guess.
Everyone, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, testing.
Hey, Tony. So I have a slide here. Does this look about right for you? Okay, so let's take a look at the outcomes for the course now that we've got some introductions out of the way. We're going to be looking at library-related systems and sketching and prototyping and doing interaction design from the user's experience, from the user's perspective. And you're going to get sick of this, but heuristic evaluation. We're going to do a heuristic evaluation of websites. Not much of that. Right, information architecture. This class also deals heavily with information architecture. And recognizing when designs deny access to people with certain disabilities, that's important. So the course layout, I have 3 seminars. Every class I do in the school is broken into 3. You know, when I went to school, when I went to college, we had quarters. So I had 3 a year. They were much shorter. So these 16-week semesters kind of throw me off. So the way I dealt with that was to break it down into 3 parts. So we're going to do an iterative class. We're going to do a lot of the same things over and over 3 times, or 3 seminars. The first 2 seminars end with quizzes. So you're going to have some reading and some, they're really just timed writing exercises, I would say. Each seminar ends with a homework assignment, and the end of the class has a culminating presentation and a final project. So that's the layout of the course. So you can see participation is the lion's share of the work here. Then the final project and homeworks, 3 homeworks, and 2 quizzes. So those are the 5 those are the 5 grading pieces there. So the class is laid out this term. Here we are, December the 26th, and the first class, the first seminar is opened, and it goes through February the 23rd. So you can see these are iterative. They do the same thing 3 times. There's lectures, there's a quiz for the first 2, and a homework. A quiz and a homework. A quiz, or I'm sorry, a homework, and the final presentations and project. So it's kind of a nice compact. It works well because people, you know, by the time you're done with the first seminar, you know exactly what you're getting into for the next round. These are the deadlines. These are also posted in the course. Right now we're doing our first guest speaker today. We also have guest speakers on March the 16th and April the 20th. And you can see spring break the 28th, March the 28th through April the 1st. Okay. Anybody have any questions about the schedule for the course?
Yes, is that schedule in the Angel material?
Yeah, it sure is. It's in the orientation module, in the orientation lesson, under schedule. Go ahead, Stacy.
With the quizzes, and I haven't had a chance to review everything thoroughly as I'd like on Angel, but with the quizzes, are they like open notes, or is it a certain time frame that we have to take them, or how does that work?
They're open notes, and they're 2 hours long. Sorry about that. We had a microphone open by accident. Yeah, the readings are posted actually in the orientation. Yeah. Okay, so originally the way I designed the course was to only evaluate the LOTS system. How many of you, by checkbox or clapping, how many of you have completed the LOTS system in the library? Yeah, that is part of 203. It teaches you how to access the databases. Yeah, I think all of the material for the course is available electronically. You can even get the book, the Safford book and the Tidwell book off of Safari, and those are available for all library patrons, San Jose State students as well. That's free. So we are going to be looking at the LOTS system. We're also going to be looking at the San Jose State library catalog system. And if, Tony, we haven't talked at length about this, but I was hoping that Tony would let us evaluate his system as well, which he's going to show you later tonight. So the first homework is just a two-form post. You're going to be looking at the heuristics and working against the list of members of the CLA members. You can see the instructions in there. So basically you're going to be evaluating CLA libraries based upon heuristics, which you're going to be reading about. The second one is to evaluate the LOTS system or the SJSU system or Tony's system. So you only need to do one. And note 3 areas of concern. So you're going to map errors that you see against the principles that you learn in the reading. So homework 2, you're going to take those the errors that you found, the 3 problems that you found, and you're going to take a few of those and then choose patterns from the Tidwell book. So if you have the Jennifer Tidwell's book with patterns, you're going to be designing solutions of the problems that you found in one of those 3 sites, the San Jose site, the Stanford site, or the LOTS site. A lot of this doesn't make much sense to you, I think, but I just wanted to give you an overview of essentially what you're going to be doing in these homeworks. You're going to be evaluating websites. You're going to be designing solutions based upon patterns in the Tidwell book. So you're going to be designing patterns with patterns. And then you're going to test these solutions with users on paper prototypes. So you're going to be drawing out your solutions and working with users through the solutions to make sure that you have a good user interface. That's the juxt of the course: evaluating websites, designing solutions, and testing your solutions. The final project is all of those 3 combined on your own system, on your own project, whatever you want to work with. People have worked with cell phones or their own systems in their own libraries. So really it's wide open how you want to do it, but you're going to be doing those 3 steps. You're going to be evaluating something that exists. You're going to be designing something based upon patterns, and you're going to be testing it with users. It's really the key feature of the course. So these are very sort of brief overviews of the 3 assignments and final project. Does anybody have any questions at first glance? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. You said something that we're going to design it on paper. What are the artistic skills? And one thing that I was kind of interested in, it was a little device I saw over at Best Buy that you could draw freehand on paper and designs, and then you can upload it to your computer. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I thought that may be handy.
Okay. Yeah, it's the final project is a paper prototype, and that takes some getting used to, and we'll be talking about that. I'm curious about the tool that you described. Do you have any more information about it?
Not really. It was over at Best Buy. I was actually looking at an e-reader and got an e-reader, and there were beside of it. It just looks like a pen, and then it has a special paper that you buy with it, like tablet paper, and then you can design whatever type image you want and then upload it to your computer. So it was about $140, but I said that they're really nice and look kind of neat.
Yeah, actually, I think my wife came home from work with one of those. I think it's called the iPen, and it uses a scanner on the tip of the pen. LiveScribe, sorry, LiveScribe. You're right, Di. It uses a scanner on the tip of the pen to know its position on the paper. So you can actually, it's great. You can draw a little calculator on the paper, and then put the numbers in there, and use the calculator to do math. So you can press the pen on those numbers, whatever you drew. And I took, just to digress, I had my father-in-law who designed portions of the Saturn V, and I had him sketch out the portions that he had done in it was the early 60s, and talk about. So he was talking about the sections that he'd designed as he drew, and the pen does a recording of the voice and combines it with the drawing of the pen as well. So yeah, it's pretty nice, and I need to capture that actually. I think it's still sitting in my wife's pen. Anyway, so we are going to be working in paper, and I think the key point here is that you're going to be doing rapid prototyping, rapid iteration. So sitting down with something more complex, even something as simple as PowerPoint is too much because you're in front of your user and you want to make rapid changes. And we'll go over that in the third seminar. So 30 points for discussion. So I have a rubric, a pretty detailed rubric. You're actually broken into teams. I split you into 3 teams. One team handles the evaluation seminar in terms of this bottom row. So for instance, if the evaluation team champions community of learners by posting thoughtful questions, synthesizing comments, and drawing out participation from engaged peers. So the leaders for that seminar, which are the Seminar 1 leaders, get points for this last column, this last row, and everybody else gets points for 1 through 4. And there are 3 rounds of grading on the discussion. Okay, I ran this list. Yeah, I did. They are posted. You can see that in the course. I ran this list before everybody had logged in, so it might not be complete. So if you found your name there, you can see the name of the team that you're on. So for instance, Aaron Beard is on the implementation discussion leaders. Chris Nelson is on the evaluation discussion leaders group. Okay, does anybody have any questions based on that quick run through the course? Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, as far as being a discussion leader, and I think I'm an evaluation discussion leader, is that something that's going to happen within, this seminar? So is it something that's going to happen within the next week or so?
So Celia, you are on the evaluation discussion leaders, which means for the first seminar, which runs through February the 23rd, you're on deck for that item 5, row 5. So in other words, I'm going to be evaluating you differently. I'm going to be evaluating you and your team differently than I will be for the other 2 teams. And Raquel, if you're not on a team, and several folks I think weren't, I'll post you right after this session. So I was taking people as they came in. Write a note. So right after the session, you should be able to, everybody who's in the class currently should be able to see their team. Stacy, go ahead.
Okay, I'm getting a little confused with this discussion grading. What is this based on?
Sure, that's a fair question. So there are 3 seminars here in the class, go from January 26th through the 23rd, through April 20th, and through May 11th. Each of those 3 different seminars, people are going to be talking about what's happening in the lectures, and you can see the readings for the lectures in the course. So during that period, everybody who's in the evaluation seminar leaders are going to be doing things a little bit different from folks who are in the other 2 sections. So in the first, what is your team, Stacy?
I believe I was evaluation seminar leader, from what I remember. Next page, yeah. So I'm design discussion leader.
Okay, great. So you're right in the middle. You're in the seminar number 2, the second seminar. So during this period, February 23rd through April the 20th, I'm going to grade your participation based upon this rubric. And everybody else, the folks who are in 1 and 3, who are not in that seminar, I'm going to look at their participation based upon this rubric. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so this is basic, but are these the weekly discussion questions that we're grading it on these rubrics?
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense. But it's not going to be this week's discussion posting, right?
Right, right. So that's another key point, is that participation is separate from any of the assignments that are posted in the forums. So some of the assignments ask for you to post something and respond to somebody else. That's not counted in participation, the participation grade. Participation is talking about the lecture content and the lecture materials. Yeah, Celia, go ahead.
Yeah, just to follow up, so in the past when I've had a discussion board, usually the teacher poses the open-ended question. So in your class, the leaders, we will be opening the discussion with a question?
We both will. So I'll be posting questions, the leaders will be posting questions, we'll all be in there. So I don't use a form as an assignment. So I know sometimes participation in online courses, teacher posts X, students reply 1, 2, 3, and I don't see that as participation. I have a much more it's graduate student level. It's much more seminar based way of communicating and participating. No, Chris, I don't think you need to plan. So, you know, honestly, the responses that I've gotten from students after the course, almost always, the seminar form of discussion in the course is one of their favorite parts. They see it as different, they see it as interesting, as stimulating, and I think it's really a strength of the class. So I hope you keep an open mind and we'll move forward with that. So, Ananya, are you going to Elluminate sessions that we have to attend? So the 3 guest speakers are optional. You do not need to attend those sessions. The only required Elluminate sessions are the presentation at the end. And let's see. Okay, so the presentation this is one final thing, and then I really want to get on to Tony. The presentation at the end, you can see, is a period of time. It starts April 27th and it goes through May 4th. So I'm going to, as the term progresses, not right now, but as the term progresses, I'm going to be giving you guys a doodle survey, D-O-O-D-L-E. And what this does is allow you to tell me when you're not available. So if you tell me I'm not available on the 27th, 28th, 29th, I wouldn't put you on a presentation at that time. So again, in 5 terms, I've never had somebody who wasn't able to participate in the presentations. You only need to go to your own. So you only need to be in there for an hour, hour and a half. So it's been very, very flexible and very doable for everybody. So I've had presentations at 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. I've had presentations on, Tuesday at 8 a.m. I mean, it really depends on what is available for folks and what kind of schedules that they want to have. It's incredibly flexible. So don't worry about the times for the presentation. No, you don't have to talk for 1 hour. Those are 10-minute tops. You go in groups. So no, you don't have to talk for 10 hours, for 1 hour. Okay, so let me introduce it's amazing that we're able to get this speaker, and this is really, really a treat. And I'm sorry, Tony, for holding you up here. Tony's responsible for the Lane Library website and leads the knowledge management team at Stanford. The team he leads develops SMARTS interfaces to over 6,000 subscription serials and the ever-expanding number of e-books curated by Lane Library since the medical school. In addition to the website, the CAN team is integrating appropriate knowledge resources into the workflows of researchers, clinicians, and students. Prior to joining Lane Library, Tony had a long career in technology businesses. He's led a team in developing and deploying online community, doing collaboration and knowledge management initiatives for Apple and Cisco, Fujitsu, NASA, FA. Tony was the executive director of Fujitsu's consumer virtual world service, Worlds Away. Early in the professional computer era, he was the founding product manager for AppleLink, which was Apple's computer's present client server extranet. So I'm really, really proud and impressed that we were able to get Tony Christopher to come and speak to us about his web design and engineering initiatives at Stanford University Libraries. So Tony, go ahead and try your mic and let's get started.
How's that? Can you hear me? Oh, lots of hands going up. Should I raise the game? I'm getting stuff in the reds here. What's going on? They're okay. Okay, great. Okay, sounds good. Okay, Jeremy, thank you for that phenomenal introduction. I don't think I've ever gotten one like that before. So Jeremy told you what I do. I'm at Lane Medical Library, which is at Stanford Medical School, and over the last probably 10 years, but really mostly over the last 6-7 years, the library is pretty much transformed from the sort of classical experience of a physical library that you go into and pick up books or pick journals off the shelves to one that's pretty much all digital. Today, over 95% of the use of the materials that we make available are accessed online. So I'm, as my boss says, I'm very new to the job. I've only been here about 2.5 years, and that's an indication of some of the way academia works, which is it takes a while to kind of figure the territory out, which is very different from my experience in industry. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So, okay. So let me move. Let's see. I'm going to just click these little arrows, right? Okay. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is a major website upgrade that I led after in the last year. We launched this in September of this year, and we probably started it. Let's see, September 2010. I think I started it in June of 2009 when I started the effort. And Jerry, how do I do a showing of a live web page? Well, I probably have to turn this off.
Can you give us a URL?
Now, this is the old website, and it's on a very small server, so we'll see whether it stands up to getting hit by 15, 20 people right away. This is the old website, and there are two pictures right in the middle of it, which is basically announcing the new site and the warning that this old site's coming down. But if you can imagine this site without those two pictures, you can see it's pretty text intensive, and I call it cognitively burdensome, because you got to read these lists to find what you're looking for. And first you got to read the titles: portals, collections, services, and it took me 2 months here to figure out exactly what was in each category. So we had a lot to do to reinvent the site. Also, if you click on any of the red bar, the main nav, you'll see that it's not really a navigation. They're just links that are on every page. So e-journals, bioresearch, clinical. There's no taxonomy to this site. There's a phenomenal amount of great technology behind the site driving it, but the reality is that the front end of it was very, very flat, very difficult to navigate. And while I guess maybe I could. So can I change the page, or you change the page, or how does that work? Oh, I got to turn off the microphone.
Anthony, do you want to take us through a web tour? I hadn't set it up. I apologize about that. Tony, if you want to point to specific pieces of the website and have all of us look at those things, I could do screenshots for you. Okay, Tony, so Anthony's got the old page up. We call it a web tour, so you should see the window up.
What do I do to change the page, or do we just? I mean, you know what? I was thinking we can just come back to this later, and I've got a cleaner way to show this and the new site in comparison to each other, and we'll get to that after I've done a few slides. That cool?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
So I'm going to get the slides back, right? It's hard getting used to the CB mode. Okay, I'm going to skip through this stuff. Let's see. So this is the website. The library started a website a little earlier than 1998. And you can see, even if you come out here to, let's say, 2004, they had a pretty healthy usage, maybe 45,000 users a month. And now we're at, let's see, almost 100,000 users a month. And this doesn't look like much if you think of it, as a public website like, Yahoo or any public website. But this is not a public website. This is a totally internal website. We've got a fairly fixed audience of about 10,000 doctors, nurses, researchers, graduate students, etc. So what's happening here is a higher and higher percentage of the local population here, as I say, the 10,000 people, are more and more of them are using the site. There's a quick one, just give you a sense of the customers. We've got that is customers being the users of the website. They've got a diverse range of roles and a diverse range of needs. SUMC is Stanford University Medical Center. So we've got care providers, which include doctors, nurses, the whole range of staff at the hospital, medical students, graduate students, researchers who work in labs and are looking for enormously precise article and literature searches, and then the library staff who maintain this whole thing. So it's a huge range of different uses. This is a picture of the old site without the two big banners, and you can see it's pretty text heavy. I'm going to keep going through here. This was some customer feedback. When you redesign a site, I know this course is all about site design, not necessarily why you do the site design, but usually you're going to have some research behind it. Behind any site redesign that indicates, what's important, what's not. What this says, if you focus on, can you see the pen? Somebody give me a yes or no. When I'm moving this pen, is that something that you guys see? So I'm like pointing to the 72% mark now. You're not seeing that? Okay, then I'll talk it through. So look at the third from the bottom. 30% of the people who took the survey, and it was about 1,500 people out of that 10,000, said that improving our user interface on the website was one of our top opportunities. And 70% of the people said, one of our top weaknesses was that people were unaware of all of the services we offer. Well, generally they're kind of buried in that text site. You couldn't find all of the material that we've got to offer. These are our goals. Reduce the cognitive load, that is, reduce the amount of reading that somebody has to do. Increase the percent of users who use search, because there's only so much browsing you can do when you don't really know what you're when there's a lot of stuff out there that you don't even know is there. Another side of that is to surface more of the library's resources. We buy access to almost 7,000 journals, and we've probably got over 15,000 ebooks online available. So there's no way you can find how many of those things are really pertinent to what you're doing without searching. But yet most people didn't search, many more search now, but we've still got room to go. And another goal that we had was to improve the user's ability to kind of get a scent of where to go, how to get themselves through the site to get to where the information they need would be. So this was the main search. This group was pretty technically heavy. I have 3 programmers and one librarian who loves HTML and technologies, who does page creation, and I have a graphic artist. So it was pretty heavy in terms of technology development, So search was kind of the reason that there's this space between search and the other three entries there are because search was just happening. The technologists, the developers were just continuing to innovate and improve the search capability. They weren't doing much with the user interface, but they were doing a lot with the search capability. And so I was saying the back end is very strong. So when I undertook the rework of the site, I said we're going to focus on the taxonomy, the page designs, and the writing. The old site would have paragraphs of writing, and as I'm sure you know, people don't really read much on the web; they scan, and so the writing had to be is an important part of design. It's an important part of the site, and it's not easy to find writers who can write concisely and in bullets. We hit a lot of potholes. The fact that there's nothing on this sheet doesn't mean that there weren't any, but I think I'll skip through that and mention them as they come up later. So despite one obvious pothole, or one pothole I kind of implied when I said we started this thing in like June of 2009, and we didn't release the site until September of 2010. So it really took a long time. I mean, that's a very long time for a site redesign where we're not really doing technology. It's mostly user interface, and we didn't change the back end a whole lot. So the fact that it took a year and 3 or 4 months was probably the biggest agony of going through this. But there were lots of incidents and activities in there that were hard. And so when you get involved in a site redesign, it probably won't be smooth. In any case, during the difficult times, there were some magical times, and for me, some magical times were when I started to see some sample layouts that Olya, my web designer, did that just looked terrific and just so much better than what existed now or before. When I saw search results with article titles in it, I'll show you what that means here in a little while. When I saw pages and with graphics and chunked, I don't think that's a particularly technical term. I don't know what your the material you're going to cover in this course will call it, but by chunked I mean taking a lot of information and just breaking it out into blocks and breaking it down almost, in a sense, almost like little minor subcategories of what the page is about. Printing and photocopying page was a unique one in that it used to not have much information on it, and all the information was in facts and frequently asked questions. And somebody created a page with 20 different frequently asked questions organized into a page of bullets that you could scan, get all the information you needed, and you didn't have to look at 20 pages of facts to find out how to get them get a code and then make a photocopy. And then some search products that we came up with were all exciting. I'm going to keep scrolling. This was the team, actually. It's probably of some interest. So user interface and design, role, these are the roles. Search tools, lane suggest is when you're making a search, you get the drop down like you do on Google now with suggested entries. Front-end performance being have the user interface pages show up quickly. Meta search optimization means make the search happen fast. And then Rick, who was my librarian who loves HTML, did a bunch of user testing and results, and I know that's going to be important to you. So let me get on here. Let's get to some pictures. Okay. So one of the things we wanted to do was create consistent navigation. So we created, let me give you the URL so that you guys can just look at this independent while I'm talking about it just a sec. Here, I'm just going to type it in. Okay, I did that just so moderators. Thanks. Thanks, Jeremy. So if you go to that, it's not a link, but you can copy it and paste it, can't you? Can you? Yeah, you can copy and paste it. So if you go to that page, you'll see a live version of what I'm showing you. It's fairly close. Well, and in just a sec, I can go. It's fine. It's close. So the main navigation, you can see when you mouse over the gold bar, you get drop downs. That was, it took us. One of the things that took us a long time was to come up with this taxonomy. These pages were in the old site dispersed. There wasn't a taxonomy, and to create the taxonomy and get the right high-level selections, the biomed resources, the specialty portals, to get those first level of taxonomy right, and then the second level started to come together fairly quickly. We did several tests to refine this through 2 iterations. So you can see what the concise words are, that the drop-downs, main navigation represents the site's major sections, and the drop-downs allow for quick reach deep into the site, and they're there on every page, no matter where you are. And then also another standard that we created was that each major section has a consistent left navigation. So if you click any one of those gold top levels, so here's I'll give you a URL. So that's the top level of the very first navigation item, Biomed Resources. You see on the list there, on the left there, the catalog listings. Well, that's what we're calling the left navigation. And then if you go and change it to portals, specialty portals, you'll see the left side is the same, is the navigation. Basically, it's once you get into an area of the site, then you've got a consistent navigation through the site. That was amazingly new stuff, and took a long time to get a lot of people on board with it. Let's see. Okay, creating a sense for information. Jared, I think this term comes from Jared Spool, he does an enormous amount of research. He's a user interface guru. Has and takes it from a research perspective. So pretty much everything he recommends, he's researched and he's got data to back it up. Anyway, so one of the things we were trying to create was a page design and layout of the content such that when people came to any one page, they'd get a scent for. Yeah, that's his consulting group, User Interface Engineering, UIE. That they'd get a sense for where to click to get to, or at least to stay on the path to what they're looking for. So we created landing pages for every area of the site, and and the designer, this is one of the magical moments when I saw a page like this that was in short blocks that chunked the information. This is what I was referring to as chunking the material. So that's another major redesign aspect. Probably it's going to be easier for you to see this actually on the site. So if you go to the site that you the Lane.Stanford, and whatever page you're on, in the upper left-hand corner, there's a drop-down menu, and those are the 6 different types of search that you can, that you can do. And so we had to figure out a way to give a very sophisticated search, to give several different very sophisticated searches, and we changed this design. That is the design of the search. Let's call it just a red bar right now. We changed that design several times. When we first had it up, our first round of the design had tabs in it, and when we tested that, people were confused. They didn't know why things changed, and actually more than anything, you could imagine there were tabs above this gold, above the gold bar, and they thought the tabs had a higher priority than the gold bar, and in fact there was no relationship between them, and so it was confusing. I guess what I'm saying is that when you start doing designs of a complex site like this, you got to test it, because you're not the typical user, and you already know too much about it. So another standard that we established was that most pages would have in the upper right-hand corner the top resources, the top publications with respect to the context of that page. So the page that's being shown here is that Biomed Resources page that I talked about and that I showed earlier. And these are the most frequently used resources on that page. But if you flip through other pages in that Biomed Resources section, you'll find different numbers. Different publications. This was some good, nice testimonials that we got. Thumbs up. So I'm using Olya's slides, and I've kind of lost track of where biomedical resources place search results filters. So these are areas that we still need to improve. And I'll show you the one in the middle, the search results and filters, when I show you the comparison between the old site and the new site, the search capability on the old site versus the new site. And actually, it'd be interesting to get a show of hands when we do that. I can have a little research here myself. Okay, so this is you can see this is the bad news and the good news. The one search project kicked off in September 2008, and it finally launched with the whole site in September 2010. But the great news was that we had more than 80%, actually closer to 100% increase in the use of search within 45 days. I'm going to skip this detail. This is well, here's a comparison. This is the old site. When you did a search, you can't actually see what the search is here, but this is a search result. Jeremy, tell me again what I do to get a pointer working. Do I just grab the arrow, and does that work? Is that arrow? You see? Oh, where did that guy come from? No, now I'm drawing things. Here.
Yeah, click and hold that little magic wand, and you click out here and hold your mouse down. Hold your mouse button down.
Okay, does that do it? Can you see where I'm pointing? Somebody say yes or no. I'm pointing to the e-resources results. No. How about that? Does that do it? Okay, so when I click, then that shows you what I'm looking at. Okay, so in this green box are the search results on the old site, and you can see as that. Well, it's text. The new search results are text too, but the formatting is a little different. But the thing that was really an issue was this sort of, we called it tombstones. Nobody really knew what was going on up there. It was very sophisticated. It really was took a very complex situation and summarized it, but it was not simple enough for people to really understand what was going on up here. And I'll show you the equivalent of this on the new site. So, and that should be a slide away. Yeah. So here's So first of all, now this is the new search interface, and there's a couple of things going on here. One is obviously it's formatted differently with colors and font sizes, whatever, but it has a little more appeal. And the other thing is that by putting the filters on the left side, I'm going to go back to the last slide. Oops, 2 slides back. So these things are essentially filters to enable the user to look at subsets of the search results. And what we found with some research was that by flipping those and putting them here, and giving them more white space and cleaner segmentation. So these are article filters, these are catalog filters that it raised the understanding of users, made it much more intuitive, much more quickly. Let's see what else is here. These are some coding things that we learned about coding, and I think I can pass on that. So this is the new site with a different search. One of the things that I feel is very innovative about this site. Yes, somebody asked, do they lead you to similar information? Yes. I should be able to show you that. Let's see. Nope. American Archer. I've got an example. Nope, I can't see how this. These were not my slides, and I don't know that he did the same search between those two, but I've got an example coming where I'll show you the same search. So this is another search. It's called our clinical search. The other one was called our lane search. And this is one of the things I think is proving to be one of the most innovative things on the site, and that is we developed a number of features, search features, like the left nav filtering, the article level results. But what we had before was we only had one search, and what I came up with is I said, why don't we just change the materials that are searched based on the user type. So now clinicians use clinical search because all of these books are all oriented towards taking care of patients, whereas on the, let's see if there's a picture of one more, several more. On the lane search, and you can see these two searches, clinical search and lane search, in the drop-down on the live site. These are different materials being searched. In this one, we're searching PubMed, which is a database of articles, and we're searching our own catalog. So lane search is useful for people that are trying to get a specific piece of information or trying to find a broad range of information, whether it's laboratory type information or clinical trials, whatever. And this one is specifically for doctors seeing patients. It's procedures, it's diagnoses, it's a different set of knowledge, different set of publications, basically. Another part of search was something we called Lane Suggest, which is this drop down. So here somebody has typed in, my screen's a little small, and I think it's Otis Media, but you get a list of suggestions. And I don't need to go through the details. Okay, so there are two categories of information. So if you're ever designing one of these things, and what are you going to suggest? Well, Google suggests what other people have searched. We don't necessarily want to do that because we have a small, finite, or fixed population. So what we suggest are what are called medical subject headings, MESH, and we also suggest the actual titles of the resources, basically the titles of the books that are in our catalog. So this was some of the results of the new search. Depth went up so that people were going further, clicking deeper into the site. They were still they were there more, taking more time, so implication is that they're getting more out of the site. Fewer people would do a search and then leave, which was very high percentage in the old site. And then the overall query length, the number of words in a query. What are your search terms? Went from 2.9 to 4. And when I first saw this, I didn't think it was such a big deal, but Google has seen something similar, and they're at fewer than 4. So it's I had to get calibrated on that. Okay, what else do we got here? Okay, so user testing, we did a number of focus groups. This was one of the results of one of the navigation studies we did. So these terms in the first column were the names that we were going to have in the gold bar. And so library services is not, we didn't end up using that. We did end up using biomedical resources. This is one of the studies we did to test the intuitive understanding of what the words mean. If you look at that gold bar and you see information literacy, what does that mean to you? Well, 41% of the people, 41% of it was a pretty low score, and so we obviously didn't use information literacy. We did this user test prototyping with one person from each of the major categories, 2 professors and one scientist, 1 clinical person, and an assistant professor. And this is a usability study where they got, if you look at these, you look at the x-axis here, we gave them four jobs to do, or 4 tasks to run. And what the bars indicate is the range of responses, or the range of the time that it took them to get it done. So this is another type of usability. This is a type of usability testing where you give them a very specific task and then see how long it takes them to do it. This one is very interesting. This is something that Rick found called a standard usability scale. I mean, it was created a long time before the web, but it was created for complex, typically computer systems. And what it is it's sort of a distillation of years of other tests. That what researchers found, usability researchers found, was that these were the 10 questions that you could ask and get a very strong, very highly probable indication of what most people would think about the usability of your system. And you can see, you know, the names of the questions. I'm going to just look at my notes here to give you the actual names, but these are basically going across from one. What I'm going to read you now are some of the actual questions that were on the form that the people filled out, and it's these 1 through 10. So 1 is, I think that I'd like to use this system frequently. 2 is, I found the system unnecessarily complex. You know, I'm going to jump down, say, to 6. I thought there was too much inconsistency in the system. There was one that I was particularly, 4. Number 4 is, I think that I would need the support of a technical person to be able to use this system. So we asked all those questions, and you can see number 4, we changed it from need a technical person to need a librarian to use the system. And that one is, you know, there's no range. It's 100% agreement on that. And the others, there's a little bit of a range on the responses. Actually, Jeremy, you know, sometime offline, I'd like to check in with you and see what you think about this. And I've got sort of various opinions of it, but I think generally it's a pretty good test. And let's see. This is a lot of data that shows how we've done. Let me see if I can pick one that's got. So here's one that's got the biggest shift. So the green line was the old site a year over the same period a year ago. We looked at October. The green line is October 2009. The blue line is October 2010. And you can see that the blue line is pretty much always above the green line, and overall it's double. So whereas with the old site, about 10% of people who came to the site, or excuse me, 10% of visits to the site included a search. With the new site and the new search, it's 20% of the visits include a search. Let me show you the comparison between the old site search result and then the new site search result on exactly the same thing. Let's see. Here's a URL that if Jeremy or Anthony, if you could just do a screen capture on that. And then if everybody else would go to this other URL I'll give you. If I can find it. I had it here a minute ago. Here we go. There we go. No, you didn't really get that, did you? So if everybody would, I'm sending these to moderator, sorry. How's that? Yeah, I think I did it, okay. Okay, so you're putting that one up. Then everybody go to this one. No. I think it looks like you put the second one up. What do I need to do here? One second. Okay, so if everybody in the class would click on the first URL I gave, the one that starts with IRT-lane, then you'll see the comparison to what's up on the screen. And anybody not there? Can I talk about it now? All right, I'm going to go there. The first was page not found. Okay, but you've got it now. You've got the right thing there now, Anthony. And anybody in the class having trouble with the URL IRT-lane, IRT-lane-stage? You got that one up? Okay, I'm not seeing any no's. Okay. If you look at the one that's not on the screen, you'll see the first three results are diabetes and cancer, primary care medicine. And you'll see on the new one, on the screen, diabetes and cancer is the first one, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. Whoops. And let me test this program. Here we go. So way down on the Illuminate site is primary care medicine, which is the second one, the second item in the old one. Now, if I click catalog results here, the list will be identical. So you can see in the old one it's diabetes and cancer, primary care medicine, and Danforth's, and then modern, and then medicine grand rounds. Looks like we dropped modern nutrition and medicine grand rounds flipped. So if we just stick with this for a second, you can see that the back-end search engine is identical. What we're changing is how we present it. And what we're presenting here are actual materials that we have in the catalog. So each one of these is a book or a journal. When I go back to the all results where these other things are in between, what these other things are, like this diabetes and cancer. Whoops. All right, I messed that up. So what happened was I clicked on a result and actually got to the journal. Let me go back. So these are actually articles. So what we've done is we've created a search result that's got both items from the catalog in it, as well as article citations from the PubMed citation database. I don't know how much whether you get the sort of the import of that, but for researchers here, it's been phenomenal. They think it's the people we talk to say it's the best thing that they've ever seen. And so, are these two screens proper? What does that mean? Here, I'm going to give you the microphone. You can ask.
Well, I think I got a couple of screenshots here, and I think the top is showing old results and the bottom is showing new results. Is that right?
So are you looking at on the Elluminate, I assume we're all seeing the same thing there, where in the upper left there's a red all results?
Yeah, so I'm looking on the screen, screen 63. The top has diabetes and cancer, and the bottom has all results filters.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't follow that, Jeremy. Is there?
Tony, do you see the two black boxes that I just put on the screen? Maybe I'm seeing something different. On the top it says diabetes and cancer, and the bottom screen says all results.
No, I'm not seeing that. I've got diabetes and cancer at the top and risk of cancer in a large cohort at the bottom. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. So I just scrolled, moved the right bar down, or excuse me, the right scroll bar down. I don't know if that's where you can see 112 matches down.
Okay, never mind. Run with it.
Okay. So I guess the major point here is if you look at the old site, the search results on the old site, these two are exactly the same searches. We're searching diabetes and cancer in both. The back-end technology is generating the same results from the catalog, and that was the diabetes and cancer, primary care medicine, etc. But with the new site, we've got interleaved with catalog items. Interleaved are articles, the citations on articles, and if I click on one of these, I'll pick the substantially increased risk. I should be able to get to a full text of the article, and I picked on a great one. Let me try that one. Yeah, here. So I'm getting. So I just with one click got directly to the full text of that research article, and you can scroll through it. I assume when I'm scrolling here, you're not seeing that because you can. But I'm not sure whether the system's showing that. But you're seeing the full text of an article in a scientific journal, and that was just one click away from the search results, and that's pretty phenomenal. And to have that integrated with catalog results was a big deal. Let me see what the questions are. Don't see any black boxes. That would have been handy during my master's in health, right? So that's. I threw a lot of material at you, and how do you want to do this, Jeremy? You want to do questions, or I don't know what the timing is.
Well, I think if we go to 7:30, that meets everyone's timing. I don't know how much time you have. I mean, it's been a long while for you, and I know it's probably dinner time. Maybe how about 2 or 3 questions, and then we'll wrap it up. I have a question for you concerning finding users. So how did you when you did testing, user testing of any kind, how did you recruit users, and how did you set up the tests?
When we did a major survey in May of 2009 that went out to all 10,000 people across the medical center, and one of the questions we asked was, were they interested in being what we called an early adopter? That is, seeing beta versions of software, and another one was, were people interested in being an ambassador, being sort of somebody who's an evangelist for the library in their department. So the way we generated the people who did most of the testing were on the early adopter list. I think out of about, I think we got 1,200 or so, maybe 1,400 responses, and I think we got a little under 200 people who were willing to be early adopters. So we got a list of 200 people, and that's up and down because people are taking themselves off the list, and then others are joining the list. So we've got a list that we mail to. Does that answer your question?
How about bringing them in? You did some timing trials as well, right? So did you set up a lab in the library? How did you do that?
Yeah, we brought them into, well, actually, half of them we went to, because people are pretty busy here, and they, so it increases our sample size if we say we'll go to you. But we brought, if we went to them, or if we did it here, it's just a laptop, which is the way that most users are accessing the site anyway. And you just bring a laptop and a couple of sheets of paper for, which are the tasks to perform, and we'd walk them through it and have a timer that we watched. We usually did it with two people, one person asking the questions and explaining and asking the questions, the other person doing the timing and taking notes. And then with focus groups, that would be a classic focus group where we bring somewhere between 6 and 12 people together in a room.
Yeah, I wanted to point out that one of the readings, I don't think it's attached to a specific lesson, but Thoreau wrote When Search Meets Usability, and that was a 2009 piece, and that's actually on reserve. So if anybody wants to check that out, they can. So can we have a few questions from you guys? How about Benita or Cassandra or CD or Celia or Chris or Di? So Stephanie asks, can the Lane Online Library be interfaced with hospital systems?
That's a good question. That's one of my jobs, one of our jobs as a team, to integrate with the hospital systems, in particular the electronic medical record system. We've got several levels of integration there. One is we've had for 2 years, was hit there when it was in place when I got there, which is there's a global menu, a global navigation on the Epic is the name of the electronic medical record system at Stanford Hospital, and in the global nav, in one of the drop downs, there's a link to the Lane website. So you just basically come into the front of the website. But we've recently, in working with IT in the hospital, which is very separate, it's a completely separate operation, we've connected at a couple of key points in the medical record. One is where places are ordered, where doctors order, write the orders for a patient. It's medications or treatments, whatever. And so when depending on what they're ordering or what the diagnosis is, they'll get basically they get a pre-filtered search or a pre-hedged search based on the diagnosis and what they're ordering. So we're experimenting with it. The fact is that the EMRs, the electronic medical record systems, are still phenomenally new to hospital staff and doctors in particular, and so they're still trying to figure out how they use them. So trying to figure out how they use them and use the library stuff too is, is a very compound problem. Let's see. Do the results allow you to filter deeper, say by research participants' ages, human versus mice? No, those are research questions that you're asking, and that's still very manual, or not so much manual. It's, you get the data, and then you dice it in Excel or whatever. Why not use the search terms that people type? What does that mean? Because the reason we don't use the search terms that, like in Google, that people are actually using, is because we've got a very limited number of people. With Google, with the billions of people that use, or the billions of searches that are done on Google, if you're picking the top 10%, or you're basically any search query that Google shows you in a drop-down has been done dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of times. But we don't have any search that's been done 1,000 times. We have 20% of 100,000 searches, 20% of 100,000 visits a month, so that's 20,000 searches a month across maybe 6,000 of the 10,000 people. So there's an incredible it's a very wide distribution. We don't have much modality in our. There's not many peaks, so we have very few terms that are used often. So it's much more effective for us to suggest terms that they use, or that are medical subjects, or the actual materials that we've got. So the 7,000 journals that we have are all in the suggestions. So if somebody starts to type neurology at the point of the U, any UR, they'll get a drop-down with a half a dozen or 15 different neurology journals. So glad that makes sense. Okay, there's another question there. Is there training for doctors and hospital staff to learn to use the interface better? They get training on the EMR system, on the electronic medical record system. We don't have the resources to train them on this. I think I mentioned briefly the concept of an ambassador, or somebody in the department that does that uses the library website a lot, and so and may be interested in supporting others in the department. We're trying to get that program together, but there isn't any training for this website in particular. Am I missing any questions? Maybe. Are you constantly updating your terms? Yeah, well, the terms, the medical subject heading terms, actually come from the National Institute of Health's National Library of Medicine, and I think we updated it. This is January. I think we updated in October with. I think we put in about 1,200 different updates out of a total number of terms of a little under 30,000. So it's their taxonomy. No, Stanford didn't fund it generously at all. Basically, we did it all, but it would have been great to have a budget to get some third-party usability testers instead of our having to do the usability testing, or to hire writers instead of my having to write half of it. No, so it wasn't funded generously. Basically, they spent a lot on the library, and they paid for us all year round, so it was a very good thing for us to do. Were there any websites that your team found to be helpful based on your design and function? We looked at a lot of other library websites, university websites, and Olia, the designer, came up with whatever her sort of mix and she came up with the amalgam of it, but it wasn't any one particular one. What? was it specifically? What was what specifically? I can't tell that. Let's see. What's the brief summary when the mouse goes over it? Oh, you guys are talking to each other. Got it. And this site is a public site. You can actually come here. 40% of our usage is from off campus, and we estimate that about a third of that is actually Stanford people working from home, and 2/3 the general public. We get hits from all over the world. Yeah, the new site is definitely much easier to read. I would have started the writing a lot earlier, and the writing amazingly was the thing that was the long pole in the tent. That was the work. The most work, the longest time was the writing. And Jeremy, are you telling me to do something with the mic? Oh, you want the mic?
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, Tony, I really, really appreciate your time. Here we are at 7:30. I don't want to take too much of your time or keep people as well. I really, really appreciate your time. See, we have a great opportunity here. The class starts with an evaluation of websites, and right now I've got San Jose State's catalog and also the LOTS system, which looks at the databases. That's more of a instructional design, curriculum design. I think those three together would be an excellent choice for folks to choose one of those sites to work with throughout the term. And I'm wondering if you want to tell us a particular a particular portion of your site that you think folks should specialize in or really focus in on, because obviously it's a giant endeavor. So if we sent folks or gave folks the option to look at your site and evaluate your site, and then to propose design changes, and then to iterate those with users, so to start working with paper prototypes of their changes, which portion of your website do you want us to work with?
Well, let's see. I would say that there's, let me go back to this. The search is what we would like to get 100% of people. We'd like to get 50% of people who come to the site to use the search, because there's so much material. I mean, there's 7,000 journals and thousands of books and a lot of other stuff here that unless they're looking for the same thing they came for before, they should be using search. And so I would love an evaluation of either or both of lane search or clinical search. Sure. That you mean the tips? The way that would be, actually, that's a great idea. Is an evaluation of how we can explain how to use search. That's a great one, because I know this needs a lot of work, and it's better than it was before, but it's not. It needs a lot of work. So yeah, that's another thing that would be great, is sort of the tutorial or how to, maybe even that whole the whole last section. And if you look at the far right. Navigation, it's I even forgot, it's how to, or yeah, how to. That whole section would be phenomenally helpful. It's marketing is word of mouth. We have a newsletter, an electronic newsletter, and we've got 3 librarians here who are outbound librarians that are out working in the wards or in the research labs, helping the professors and the doctors do their research, and so the word spreads that way.
How about how to and ask us? Askus.html.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The Ask Us is you can even try it. I mean, it'll go to you could, if you wanted to test it, just say send this to Tony and then say anything you want. But it'll go through one of our librarians who looks at it 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. It's just a form, and then we respond in email.
What does the class think about that? Well, I guess we don't have to do that. Folks will be coming to evaluate maybe a third, maybe a quarter, I don't know. And then I guess we can check in with you later and send you results in some structured way, I think, hopefully, and get some real-world experience here. So, Tony, I really appreciate your time. And the question that I have for the class for discussion is out of the SAFR book. In Chapter 1, it talks about 3 ways of looking at interaction design. And then in Chapter 2, it talks about the 4 approaches to design. So based upon what Tony's shown you today, how would you say that his project and the way he's working through this is a way of looking at interaction design, and what approach to design is he using? That's page 33. So we'll start off the conversation in lectures 1 and 2 with that topic. There's a chapter 1 and 2 in SAFR. So hopefully I'll see you all at the next guest speaker, which comes up in February. And I'm going to sign off now if there aren't any other questions. Sorry, the next guest speaker is March the 16th at 6 p.m.